What's up, you guys? Steven here for Off the Shelf Movie Night to talk to you about physical media, Blu-rays, 4Ks, sometimes some DVDs, the things that we love to buy and collect in the way we like to own media. If you like this kind of stuff and you haven't already given it a sub here, please do so. I'd love to have conversations with you about physical media and about movie collecting and TV shows and that kind of thing. If you like what you see, please feel free to share this guy out and give us a like. Feeling a little exuberant today. I'm not exactly talking to you about physical media. I'm talking to you about something else that is parallel to physical media, and I want to talk to you about my return to the cinema, to the movie theater. The last time I was in the theater was July of last year. I saw Tenet in the IMAX, and I know a lot of you guys, it was probably way before that, because a lot of us didn't take a chance going to the theater last summer, 2020. I did, because I had a whole plan, the way we handled it. We monitored the ticket sales situation and went in the middle of the day through the week, knowing there wouldn't be anybody, and sure enough, there really wasn't. We had the theater mostly to ourselves. So I did do that. Before that, it was The Hunt, and that was February 2020, I believe. Oh, apologies for the messiness here. I don't know what you can see in the background, but I'm doing production in my movie space, my own movie room space right now, so it's like kind of making me feel chaotic having all this stuff. But anyway, I just thought it would be cool to come down here and talk to you, since I am talking about going back to the movie theater. So I saw Nobody, and before I talk about that movie, I'll talk about the experience of returning. Now, me and the people I went with all have been vaccinated. We've got both shots of the vaccine, so we felt fine to go. And we went to an AMC. My preferred theater is Regal. Regal doesn't open till April 2nd, so I think I will be seeing the Godzilla movie in the Regal. Hopefully my Regal subscription plan kicks back in. I'll be happy to start paying that again to do that. But anyway, we went to AMC. They have a mask requirement. You have to wear a mask coming into the lobby. You have to buy tickets social distance. Now, I'll give you a hint. If you're going to go with somebody or with some buddies, maybe from your household or people you trust being around at a theater, that kind of thing, one person needs to be responsible for purchasing those tickets if you want to sit together easily. Because the purchasing situation automatically blocks off seats around each ticket. That's great if you're going by yourself and you don't want to have to sit beside someone. I don't like sitting beside strangers in a theater generally, unless I have to. If it's a packed theater, let's do it. I'm down. But if I can have space, I'm happy to have space. So this is kind of cool. But anyway, if one person buys the tickets, you buy 2, 3, 4, whatever tickets, you will get those seats together, because the application assumes that you're of one group, and they do that. Now, we didn't. When we went to see this movie, there was a handful of us. There were 5 of us. And we bought our tickets separate. But they did tell us once we were in there that we could move closer together into the socially distanced seats if we wanted to, since we were of the same group. And in the theater, there were maybe 25 people. So anyway, you wear your mask, get your tickets purchased that way. We bought through Fandango, I believe is what everyone used to buy the tickets. And then inside, they did have concessions. Now, I know in New York City, there's concessions are more limited, and you can only pre-order. Well, you could buy concessions at the counter, just like in the old days at the AMC here in Nashville, Tennessee. But they do have plexiglass up. I'm curious if that's going to stay that way, if they're going to leave that up, or as the pandemic settles, if it's going to come down. I would imagine it's probably just going to stay. That's going to be one of the things that kind of sticks around post-pandemic. But anyway, it was perfectly fine, comfortable, no issues. Into the theater, you're supposed to, and they have videos that play before the movie. You're supposed to keep your mask on during the movie, unless you're eating or drinking. There were maybe 20 people in the theater in total, so, and no one in our rows. So I think most of us at least took breaks taking the mask off here and there, whether we were eating or not. And I think that is up to you. Easy to do if it's not a packed theater, if there's not people close to you. But anyway, so it was a comfortable, fun experience. And the first thing I can tell you is it's easy to forget how important, how cool cinema experience actually is. Now, I know a lot of people, especially there's a lot of physical media collectors that don't care. They're more into the convenience, and people who stream only are even more into convenience. But movies were meant to be seen in the theater. That is my opinion. And when that bass started rumbling during the trailers, and the screen just filled my peripheral, my field of view, I remembered why it matters and why it was special and fun. And so I'm going to tell you, if you get the vaccination, if you get the vaccine, make your way back to the theater, because it's worth it. It was so much fun. And you're supporting filmmakers by doing that, more so than streaming a movie. Streaming a movie, trust me, coming from a filmmaker, doesn't support the filmmaker. I mean, if they want to continue to make movies, they got to pay their bills just like the rest of us, and making pennies doesn't do it. So, I mean, that is my opinion. But it was a really good time. So let's talk about Nobody. So Nobody was directed by the director of Hardcore Henry. I don't know if you saw this film, but Hardcore Henry was a first-person POV film, very stylized action experience, very video game looking. And when I saw that film, I wasn't expecting much, wasn't expecting it to be good at all. It ended up having a really great time with the movie. The action was well choreographed and a ton of fun to watch. The movie was a little too long, but surprised, had a really good time. And this director hasn't done much else that you would know. He's done some music videos and that kind of thing. So this is his return, I guess, I'm looking at my iPad, by the way, just looking at my notes. This is kind of his return to something more mainstream, something bigger that people would know. I'm going to tell you, his name is Ilya Nashuler, I think. Probably butchering that name. Sorry, I suck with that. The movie was also written by Derek Kolstad, and this is what got my initial interest, because this is one of the writers behind the John Wick films, all three of them. If you haven't seen the trailer for the movie, it stars Bob Odenkirk and Connie Nielsen. That's the two names you're going to know, but there's also Christopher Lloyd, who is awesome in this movie, by the way, Christopher Lloyd. And very much different than many of us recognize Michael Ironside. Michael Ironside, to me, he's done a lot of movies playing the villain. Maybe his most recognizable is the villain one of the villains in Total Recall. He's very different looking now. You may double take before you figure out who he is. So anyway, Bob Odenkirk plays Hutch. Your regular mild-mannered guy. He's got a family, he's got a wife and kids, just living his, mild-mannered life. Until one day his house is broken into. And, we kind of know this story because the trailers have been very obvious, but I'll just give it to you as the movie kind of sets it up. His house gets broken into by a couple. He has an opportunity to defend himself and maybe attack one of the people, but he chooses not to. And it's set up as a question because that one character has a hood on, but it's a female, and you get the feeling maybe he could have overpowered her and that kind of thing, but he chose not to. And they want you to think about why he chose not to. Did he do it because of fear, or did he do it because of something more reasoning-wise, something more sinister? And obviously from the trailer we know it's something more sinister. Turns out that he is a cleaner, someone who kills. If he was sent in back in his sort of, I guess, kind of military days, but he really was a cleaner for agencies like the CIA, FBI, that kind of thing. If he was sent in, he was there to do a job. He was there to kill and clean it up. So he's in hiding essentially and just trying to live a normal life. But he misses that life, and you can tell. And this is sort of the catalyst that sets him off, maybe returning to that lifestyle. It's a very simple plot. In the trailers and in the reading of the synopsis, it does feel like a John Wick knockoff. Well, here's the problem. It isn't a John Wick knockoff. It is a John Wick ripoff. This movie is not only kind of riffing on that theme, it is that movie. It is John Wick. There are so many very specific beats. The villains are Russian. Now, I'm not going to spoil. I'm not going to get into spoilers, but the villain is Russian. And there are a lot of things that very specifically happen in John Wick that also specifically happen in this movie. Not only is it somewhat unoriginal, it's completely unoriginal. So then the question is, should you bother seeing it? Well, the honest truth is, with that in mind, as a film critic myself, as a film buff and a film lover and a filmmaker, that lack of originality bothered the hell out of me. But I had a good time. It was fun. It was visceral. It was bloody. It was action-packed. And it had one thing that John Wick didn't have. Bob Odenkirk does a good job at kind of feeling and playing the everyman. It's almost like John Wick crossed with Die Hard. You know? He doesn't just magically win every fight because he is the perfect killer. This guy gets his ass whipped. And that's not a spoiler. We see it in the trailer. But that's part of what makes it sort of more grounded than you would expect. And then there's humor in it that we didn't necessarily get in the John Wick films. There's moments of that you may guffaw or laugh in John Wick, but it's really like a cathartic thing. This actually, the character is humorous. So it basically is John Wick remade with a different character. So if you're good, I'm sorry if you hear the background noise, it's always something here. If you're good with that, then see this movie. You know, this is a good trip back into the theater because we need sort of just this big release after the last year that we've had, and you get it in this movie. It's completely a complete knockoff of another franchise of films made by the franchise's writer. I mean, I wonder now if this writer can actually do anything else. I did look him up, and he's also writing some stuff for Falcon and the Winter Soldier, so we'll see how that goes. But it just felt good. It felt good to be back in the theater. It's well shot, mostly well edited, and Connie Nielsen is really good. She brings something also that we didn't have in John Wick, something new, and there's more to her character than I initially expected there to be. So see it. It's fun. If I'm going to give it a number score, because when I do write, I usually write 1 to 10, I'm probably going to give it... The number is going to be misleading because I'm probably going to give it a 4, and the 4 only happens because the characterizations are fun, the acting is good, and that's because it really isn't a unique movie. It isn't a movie at all. It's in the shadow of a bigger franchise. But outside of film criticism, there's fun, and this movie was still fun. So I would say go see it. So tell me in the comments, are you headed back to the theater? Are you waiting for a specific movie? What's that one movie that's going to pull you back into the theater? I'm back. I'm just telling you right now. I'm going to see Godzilla. My birthday's coming up in April, and Mortal Kombat opens that week. That also looks like a very bad movie, but I'm hoping it's going to be fun because I'm going to see that. I am back. What would it take to get you back in the theater? Let me know in the comments. Let's talk about movies, and then what movies are coming out maybe that you might not go to the theater and see, but you would probably buy in physical media. So let's keep that physical media conversation going. Until next we meet, pull something cool off the shelf and share it with your friends and family. Remind them why physical media is the best way to watch films and TV. I'll see you guys on the next one.